Alright guys, so let's get started. I'm going to be brushing my brows upwards, kind of just keeping them in shape and straight. So I'm just using like a little fix Foley to brush up my brows, and that way I just have more room to work with when I add some shadow. I'm going to be using Tarte's Shape Tape in the color 12B Fair Beige. This is going to be my prep for eyeshadow. I love this concealer for the face, especially when I'm going to conceal under my eyes, but also concealing on for my eyeshadow. I really love this stuff. It's really pigmented. It's very blendable for eyeshadows as well, so that's my go-to. Usually I just take a fluffy brush to kind of blend the product around, and I'm just dabbing that on. And this dries really quickly too, so you want to make sure you blend it really quickly before it really sets in. This is definitely a full coverage concealer, so a little goes a long way. But usually when I do like a smokier, colorful shadows, this is how much I use. When it's more on the natural side, and I just use a little bit because I don't really need that much concealer for that. Then I'm going to take my sponge. This is my brand sponge, Forgive Way sponge in the angled. I love this stuff just because I love how soft it is. I love how it blends everything but doesn't take off the coverage or the product. And it's very soft. That's the key here. So I'm just blending it, making it all even. And then we can move on to eyeshadow. I have a stuffy nose. I've been dealing with a cold for the longest, since my birthday, December 28th. So I'm way better. It's just my nose is so congested. So if I sound like freaking snotty, it's my nose. The palette that I'm going to be using today is by Be Perfect Cosmetics, and it's the Clientele palette by Ja. I love this palette. If you guys have seen it, Ja is a makeup artist on Instagram. She's like an Australia makeup artist. If I'm wrong, I am so sorry, girl. But I beat it to death, as you can tell. Like, this is beat up, but I use it so much. But the colors that I'm going to be using today are mostly like the rose gold shadows. Since Valentine's is coming up, I want to play with pink tone colors, natural glams, romantic, sultry look. So those videos are coming up. But today we're just going to play with a little color. Or actually, let's play with a little color. So this is going to be like a more blended look. If you guys want to see a cut crease, those complicated looks, I can do those too, but this is mostly something that you guys can do at home, or something real quick and easy. So I'm going to be taking Sandy, and actually let's do blush. We're going to be using blush right here, and I'm going to grab some of that into my fluffy brush. I'm going to be applying this in the crease. I'm looking down as I'm blending in the product. And if you guys know me by now, like my little technique when it comes to eyeshadow, I love bringing my eyeshadow towards my brows. I feel like it really connects nicely towards my nose, because obviously I have a big wide nose, so with my makeup it looks slimmer when I connect it to my eyes. So I bring that up to the brows, and I'm going with a lighter shade first, just so that it's easier to blend with the darker shades that we're going to add on later on. Alright, so you add as much as you need. I want this to be a little bit more pigmented, more out there, so I'm adding as I go. So this is where I want it to be. Now let's go on and add the darker shades. Now my lighting is probably a little light, so it's probably washing off a lot of how bright this is, but it's okay, you know, it's okay. I'll post it on IG. I'm going with a more stiff brush, and I'm gonna go with a darker shade. Let's do So actually, let's do Sweet As and then Gigi. So I'm gonna go in with this one right here. Obviously, this one is way darker than the first one we did. And after, lastly, I'm gonna go in with Gigi, which is the last darker shade. You wanna go in transitions when you're adding the darker shades. So from lightest to darkest. I am gonna go with Sweet As, grab some on my brush. And I'm gonna dab this at the end of the eye and mostly in the crease. So I'm not gonna really bring this up where we added the other shade. I'm gonna mainly darken up the crease here with that color. So the lighter shade is gonna help us make it seem how nice and blended it is with the shadow. Okay, I'm just gonna take the same brush that we used in the beginning and I'm just gonna go ahead and blend those two together, diffuse it really nice and neat. And I'm just going back and forth, swiper motion and then circular motion. Alright, I'm going with the darker Gigi, and with that same dense brush, I'm just gonna go ahead and dab on the darker shade at the outer part of the eye, and mainly just where your lid ends, not too high where the two shades we applied, because that's gonna pretty much make it look really dark. I'm just gonna give it more dimension to the eye a little bit. And again, with that same brush from the beginning, I'm just gonna buff this into the other shades. Blend them all together. Like I said, this is like my blended looks. There's nothing harsh. There's no, you know, cut crease or anything in this. This is just really well blended. Since this is a rose gold type of look, I think I'm gonna be doing pink rose, which is right here. It's definitely like a rose pink tone color, and I'm just gonna grab my flat brush. This brush is a little fluffier but flat at the same time. This is gonna help blend the shadow a lot more instead of like a very stiff eyeshadow brush. So I'm just gonna look down and place this at the front part of the eye. These shadows are so pigmented, especially the glitter ones. These are kind of like shimmer looking shadows. I'm just patting this here only at the front part of the lid and stopping where we added the darker shade. And I'm just patting, patting, patting and swiping down mostly. That is so pretty. I hope you guys all had a good new year and you guys have the best year this year, because 2020 was intense for some, you know, but hopefully this year could be the best for many of you. And there's a lot in store for my brand, for a new thing that I'm bringing out, business venture, that I will be announcing soon. But other than that, I have a couple things coming out for my brand, and we'll see how that goes. As you guys know, last year I brought out like the lip glosses, new lash styles, and my blenders. So those are really nice. A lot of you guys love them, which I'm so happy. But other than that, 2021, there's a lot more new things. Okay, so for white eyeshadow, I'm just going to take a white shadow from the Soft 2 Glam palette, and it's called Tempera, if I'm saying it right. I'm going to be adding this in front of the eye and just kind of blend it towards the shadow. I love adding white eyeshadow in front of the eyes. I don't think I'll be adding that, so I'm just going to take the black eyeshadow from the palette with an angled brush and just smudging that towards the lash line. So this is pretty much like a faster way to kind of thinking that you have eyeliner, but it's probably the fastest and easiest ways. Just using eyeshadow with an angled brush and dragging that to the lash on top. Alright guys, so I did apply my lashes already, and these are from my brand. These are in the style Large Lashes. These are one of my favorite lashes just because they flare out all the way to the end, but you still get some flare at the front. Like, they're perfect. They're not crazy. Okay, so now I'm going to start off with my face. I am going to be using the preps that I've been loving lately for the flawless filtered face that I've been doing, and these are the products that I've been loving lately. So this one here is the Fresh Rose Deep Hydration Oiled Serum. So this is by Fresh. You can get this at Sephora, not Ulta, only at Sephora, and this is pretty much like my moisturizer. It's like oil based moisturizing serum that really hydrates the skin, especially during this time, how it's so dry right now with everybody's skin. Like, even when I do client skin right now, it's so dehydrated and they just need some, you know. So I am going to be using this. This is amazing for very dry skin. And then afterwards, I'm going to be using the Charlotte Tilbury. The thing came off. What is this called? The lettering. So I forgot the exact name of this, but this is in the shade 3, light medium. So this is like a highlighter for your foundation. So I'm going to be applying this all over my face, especially here around the bottom half of my face right here. This is where the dryness is at. And I got this by watching Painted by Spencer. He's an amazing makeup artist as well. I'm going to let that sink in, and I'm going to be using the Charlotte Tilbury next. And I'm going to be applying this at the center of my face. So like right here. And this is tinted too, so she has like different shades, I believe. Like rushing because my baby is asleep right now, so we gotta hurry up, girl, because after that it's done. It's over with once they're up. And I'm just gonna take my beauty blender and kind of just sink this into the skin. Alright, for foundation, I've been loving the Maybelline Fit Me foundation. This is in the shade 118, and this right here is like awesome for photography, for pictures, your skin looking flawless. It makes your makeup last a little longer than other foundations that I've tried, but I also like to mix it with the NARS Radiant foundation. This is in the shade Tahoe, but the reason why I mix it is because I got a really light shade. It's definitely not my skin tone color. I'm very yellow toned, so I'm gonna add a little bit of the darker foundation, not too much, to get the perfect shade range. But I'm just going to be mixing those two together, but I love these two foundations. My kit only consists of the NARS Radiant, the Makeup Forever, and some of the Giorgio Armani, but that's it. Okay, so I'm just going to take my Angled Beauty Blender by VERGMUALASHES, and I'm just going to use it all over my face. With this part, you do want to dab and not swipe with whatever blender or applicator that you're using. If you swipe, it definitely won't leave the foundation to your face. You're just going to swipe it off. So just dabbing the foundation is best. And my beauty blender is damp. The best results is when the beauty blender is damp. A lot of people like to use the dry. I have a hard time using the blender when it's dry. I don't get the same results when I have my beauty blender damp. So next up is my highlight and contouring process. It's very different from many of you. It might be the same to some of you, but this is what works for me. I like to use creams and powders. So with the creams first, I love to use the NARS Radiant Foundation, or Concealer, I'm sorry, in the shade Light 1.25. to highlight under my eyes. But before that, since I have some bags, I know you guys can't tell because of the lighting, but I do have a little bit of bags that I do want to hide. I'm not going to go straight with the lighter concealer. I'm going to go with like a same tone color concealer to kind of correct my under eye bags. Now, depending on this, how severe your under eye bags are, you definitely don't have to use like a red, orange, red lipstick, none of that stuff. I feel like a same tone color concealer or a peachy tone color should work best. And I'm going to be using the shade, it's a little darker, but this is in the shade 345 Medium Sand. And then I'm going to go with my lighter shade. And then for contouring, I'm going to be using the Fenty Stick in Suede. Now this is one of my favorites to contour my face. A lot of people don't like this one just because it's a little stiff and unblendable in the beginning, but you have to work with it. You want to warm it up before you apply it on your hand or whatever it may be. It loosens up after various uses, so just bear with it. At first it's a little hardcore, it's a little stiff, but I hated it at first and now I just love it so much. So I'm going to go ahead and start with my 345 Medium Sand Concealer. And I'm not going to add too much, just mostly like where the bag area is at. Right there. And I'm just going to let it sit there. I'm going to go move on with my Fenty Matchstick. And I kind of smile when I apply my contour just to get my cheeks popping out. I like my cheeks to really pop off. I have really round cheeks, so this is where I have the chance to bring them out as I want them to be, so this is what I do. And then I'm going to move on with the lighter concealer. It looks a little crazy, I know. I think I went a little ham, but that's what the blender is for. We're going to go ahead and blend this into the skin using the angled part of the blender. Alright guys, so before setting, I'm pretty much done with the makeup. I am going to be using a cream blush today, and this is by Patrick Ta. Oh, She's Different cream blush. It comes with the cream and then the powder as well, so I love his products so much. I highly recommend everything he sells because I'm there too. I'm going to take my cream and then I'm just going to smile like a crazy person and then just apply this going upwards. Oh fuck, I used the powder. Alright guys, for powder, I'm going to be using the Huda Beauty Pound Cake Translucent Powder, and I love this stuff. It's really, really long lasting on the skin. It gives you that bright under eye that you guys see online, and it really kind of just blends everything all together, especially like smooths your skin out. It's like literally a filter, but powder form. And I'm going to be using the angled part of the Beauty Blender again. And this Beauty Blender is just so useful with everything that you do with your makeup application. Less brushes, the better. And I'm just going to set this under the eyes. where we pretty much added the lighter shade concealer. All right, for bronzer, I'm going to be using 2 of them, and this one is by Charlotte Tilbury in Film Star Bronze and Glow. So this is how it looks like in that packaging. And then Benefit Cosmetics Hoola Bronzer. Now with this bronzer, I love it a lot, but you do have to be careful with it. You want to go very lightly, and a little goes a long way. So we don't want to look like a little sucia, you know? We gotta look good. And I'm just adding this where we added the contour. So for blush, I'm going to be using like a pink tone color blush in Milani. Now this one is super old, so I can't tell you what color it is because look, it's definitely out. But it's the one with the rosa in the front. So it's like the rose style in the front. This blush is probably one of my favorites. So I added my blush, and I'm just going to go ahead and take that same blender and add a little bit of powder to kind of just sharpen up where we added all the bronzer and the blush. This is just going to clean up and make this part a little more sharp. Alright guys, so for my brows, I didn't add anything. I haven't even done my brows, so that's why they're a little bit fluffy. But I used the brow gel by Patrick Ta. All that's on my brows right now. But other than that, I'm going to move on to lips. Now for lips, I'm going to be using Italia in Natural Lip Pencils. Italia is an old school brand, y'all. They used to be like over at the 99-cent stores back in the day and things like that. But now it's hard to find. So I do have some lip pencils on my website. They're extremely affordable. They're like $1.99, I believe, and they're so good. And then in the middle, I'm going to be using my lip gloss from my line. This is in Natural, no, not Natural, oh my god, in Nude. In Nude. Now this is a very nude lip gloss, but what I like to do is I like to add any type of lip liner color, and this changes drastically with whatever lip liner you use. So if you use a darker one, a pinker one, it kind of molds into that color. So I want this to be more on the nude. That's why I chose the lip pencil to be a little bit more lighter. But on camera, that could be way too light, girl. Hold on.